right, creates areas of high pressure and areas of low pressure. In areas of high pressure, that cold air is coming down, sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. That air warms up, clouds cannot condense and form. Areas of low pressure, that cold air, that warm air is rising, and as it rises, that air can cool and condense and form clouds. In those areas of low pressure, we have different masses of air, warm fronts, cold fronts, stationary fronts. There's also occluded fronts, but don't worry about that. In areas of cold fronts, where those two masses meet, the cold air is shoving that warm air up, big storms. Warm fronts, gently gliding over, gentle rains. Either way, it's happening on, cloudy days in these low pressure systems. What we're gonna do is the next time we meet, we're gonna take the past couple weeks of what we've learned and talked about with clouds and precipitation, high and low pressure, warm and cold fronts, and we're gonna do some observing and reporting. We're gonna use some of these techniques to see how we can predict the weather by noticing what's going on around us. So, one way to predict the weather is to look at the type of clouds that you see getting formed. Keeping in mind that the reason those clouds are getting formed is because we're under high and low pressure systems. The scientists can use barometers to see whether we're going from high pressure to low pressure. Is the pressure rising? Is the pressure dropping? Being able to look at the pressure, they can see whether we're going to have a storm come in or whether it's going to be nice and sunny. Yes?
Are we going anywhere for some?
I do not remember. And that's a great question. So, I know we've been here a lot, and I think we might even be here one more week. And then I think after that, we're getting on the bus. And I think almost every single week. I think every single week after next week, we are somewhere on a field trip. In the next couple, through the rest of the school year, my hope is that we will be going to Tin Mountain 1 week. We'll be going to Pinkham Notch 1 week. We'll be going to Crawford Notch 1 week. We'll be going to Evans Notch 1 week. We'll be getting on the bikes and biking to Bear Paw for a week or two. So kind of after these next couple of weeks, we are going to be out quite a bit. Part of that is just because if the weather's really lousy, this way we have a place to kind of fall back. You guys can go inside. Yeah.
Are we ever going to go to Madison Boulder? Because we didn't go.
Oh, is this the group that didn't go to Madison Boulder?
Apparently.
All right. Let me think about that. Yeah, that's true. I guess I forgot about that. I will look and see how we can get this group to go to Madison Boulder. And I just got to remember that it's this group. So we'll get into observing and reporting. After that, we're going to get into some climate change and then mountain weather and how we'll take all the things we've learned and apply it to how that might be a little bit different in the mountains. And then we're wrapping up with a big phenology study that's going to help us set the stage for next year's forest ecology year. All right, it is 11 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Is where air masses meet. A front is a place where two air masses meet. Two masses of air meet. A front is the place where two masses of air meet. One of them is advancing and one is retreating. So they're kind of like chasing each other. Does that make sense? So it's where they meet. Like two, people in track that are running, right? They're going in the same direction, but one's going to eventually catch the other one. So a front is the place where two masses of air meet. One advancing, one retreating. Now, what happens is when they meet, gravity pulls the warm air, gravity pulls the cold air under the warm air. When they meet, Gravity pulls the cold air under the warm air. Three types of fronts: warm, cold, and stationary. In a cold front, when those masses meet, the cold air gets shoved really quickly under the warm air. So in a cold front, the cold air like quickly goes under the warm air, which really quickly pushes the warm air up, right? So in a cold front, cold air aggressively, quickly gets shoved under the warm air, and that puts the warm air up. If that warm air rises super fast, what's going to happen to it? It's going to become cold, and it's going to form big storms. So a cold front, cold air goes in quickly underneath, and big storms occur. In a warm front, what happens is the warmer air kind of glides over the top of the colder air. So cold front shoves underneath, air goes really quickly, storms. Warm front, the warm air gently glides over the top of the cold front, and you have like gentle rain or gentle snow, gentle precipitation. It's not a big thunderstorm. It's not like really heavy and thick. It's just like a gentle weather event. Light snow, light rain. In a stationary front, neither the warm air or the cold air has an advantage, and you just get clouds. So in that battle, on a stationary front, in that battle in between the two, the warm air and the cold air, neither front wins, and you just have clouds. Cold front, big storms. Warm front, gentle, gentle storms. Stationary front, just clouds. Because remember, it's all low pressure, so it's all lousy weather no matter what. You have a warm front, cold front, doesn't really matter. It's going to be lousy weather regardless. All right. Did anyone have any questions about that? Or not understand how that works, or want me to repeat it? Great. We're going to do a quick activity, our final Olympic event, to help us cement this in our brains. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to push, or take your notebooks, put them out of the way somewhere. I need you to just define. I need you to get into groups, but don't do it yet. You're going to get into groups of 3, and then in your group of 3, you're going to line up single file so that one of you is in the circle and the rest are standing behind them. So for example, if John and Mr. Oliver and I were in a group, Mr. Oliver's in the circle, and John and I would be standing behind him. Does that make sense? So groups of 3 in a single file line, facing the inside of the circle. You're on a team. 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 You're going to be working together to capture the Olympic Needles of Glory. The Olympic Pine Needles of Glory, which are going to be on the inside of the circle. Right there. Now, if you are the first person in line, you are going to be a cold front. If you are the middle person in line, you are going to be a warm front. If you are the last person in line, you are going to be a stationary front. If I say cold front, the first person in line is going to turn. They're going to run counterclockwise around the circle, all the way back to their group. Now, cold front is cold air that goes under the warmer air aggressively. So let's say I yell cold front. Carlin's gonna turn. She's gonna run this way all the way around. When she gets back to her group, since she is cold front, she's gonna have to dive under the legs of both her teammates.
Oh, no.
Run this way. Get to the pine needles of glory. And if she picks it up first, she has to pick it up and say thunderstorm. Because cold fronts bring strong storms.
So are we running on the outside of the circle?
The outside of the circle.
Okay, which one's clockwise?
Counterclockwise. That way. You're running that way.
Pick it up.
Now, you're gonna go under their legs. If I say warm front, let's say Reed right there, he's warm front. He's gonna turn. He's gonna run on the outside of the circle, counterclockwise. Take it back to his line. Now, cold fronts, remember they aggressively go under, forces the air up, big storm. Warm fronts, oh, they gently go over. So Reed's gonna run around, and then he's gonna have to go over the top of Owen and Benny.
Oh no!
When he grabs, if you are warm front, when you grab the needles of glory, you're going to need to say, gentle rain. If you get it wrong, the next group wins. Finally, stationary fronts, where neither the cold front or the warm front wins. If you're the last person in line, you're a stationary front. You'll go around the circle, all the way back to your line. The two people that are left will stand like this, facing each other. You will break through like a marathon runner running through that tape.
Or baby oceans, baby oceans, baby oceans.
That's right. Grab the needles of glory, and you will say, cloudy weather, cloudy weather, cloudy weather. All right.
Now, if we could make maybe a better circle, Clinton, will you take your line and bring it behind Mike? Will you guys come behind me? And then we'll spread out, you know, Carlin, there we go. That's a better circle.
So,
Definitely safe.
also, just because last week it got pretty competitive, the last thing, by the way, in case you missed it, she did a full-on flip.
The GoPro got Ella because she was right there.
That was excellent.
That was good.
All right, all right.
I don't know.
Yes. What does stationary front say?
Cloudy.
Cloudy weather. So, stationary fronts, the warm front, cold front, neither win. It's called stationary. You just have clouds. Cold fronts, right? Think about it. That air goes down aggressively, and because it's going down so fast aggressively, it moves the air on top of it up really quickly. Because it moves up really quickly, it causes violent storms, right? I mean, not violent, but more, you know, bigger storms. Warm front, it slides over the top, right? So because that air isn't getting pushed up so quickly, it slides over the top, still clouds over, still rains, but it's not like a big angry storm that takes place. Does that make sense? We're gonna walk back and wrap up.
There we go.
I love that game.